Mr. Laolu Akande joins us now. He is the presenter of Channels Television's Inside Sources, and he's all the way in the UK. You have since moved, because initially I was sure that you were in the US. Are we getting this mixed up?
No, I'm still in the United States.
So I don't know. There's a misinformation in here. So tell us about this. Shall I say congratulations? I guess congratulations are in order, because we understand that U.S.-based Nigerians are honoring you, as well as President Donald Trump and a number of top officials of the United States in efforts in combating insecurity in Nigeria. Can you tell us about this just a little bit, what they've told you in terms of your contribution? And, of course, the intervention of America has been somewhat controversial, but I know it's a stance that you have since defended and you believe can make a world of difference in terms of where we are in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria.
All right, thank you, Marco, and good morning. So there is the group that is called the Save Nigeria Group, which is a coalition of, quite a large number of U.S.-based Nigerian associations that are concerned about issues around insecurity in the country. A good number of those groups that form the Save Nigeria coalition are, Christian leaders, and also the American-based groups that are concerned about what is going on. So the coalition is going to be having a gala on Tuesday in Washington, D.C., where they're going to be doing what they call Heroes of Faith Award. And so they are honoring the U.S. President, Mr. Donald Trump, for his clearly decisive engagement on the Nigerian insecurity. Also, people such as Congressman Chris Smith from New Jersey, Riley Moore, I believe from West Virginia, and quite a few other officials. And of course, they have also indicated that how we also be receiving an award for being a voice of truth regarding some of these crises that is ongoing. So that is the event for which I am primarily in Washington, D.C. area at this time. Now, the group before the gala on Tuesday will also be holding a rally on Sunday in front of the White House, just to keep under pressure to ensure that the U.S. engagement with Nigeria in fighting insecurity is sustained. So those are the two main events. But other things are also happening here in Washington, D.C. For instance, the new ambassador of Nigeria to the United States, Ambassador Kayode Are, has also clearly hit the ground running. He has started holding engagement with leading Nigerian professionals in the United States, trying to explain, what his own mandate is to engage them to work on Nigeria's image and also to see how it is that it can build a consensus and common ground, even between Nigeria and the U.S. in fighting security. So quite a lot of things are happening in Washington, D.C., for which I will also be sending reports.
All right. Just quickly clarify this for us. This Save Nigeria group, was it the same Save Nigeria group that, coalesced in 2012 under the same one that had Pastor Tunde Bakare in it?
No. So that's, I also asked them, that, because that name was also used, but when they said that this is a U.S. based, so it's not that same one that was based in Nigeria. This is a U.S. based Save Nigeria group. So they call it Save Nigeria USA.
All right. Okay.
So I see there's going to be a Save Nigeria rally.
Yes.
Could you talk to us about that? And I see evangelist Dr. Alveda King, that's the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is going to be a special guest of honor at that rally. Maybe you could talk to us about that. What's it supposed to achieve?
Okay, so the rally is going to be in front of White House this weekend, where Nigerians and U.S. And Americans who are concerned about the security situation in Nigeria. They want to, rally around the fact that the U.S. government, specifically President Trump and the Congress, should maintain the momentum. I think there was a bit of concern while the Iran war was going on, that was taking a lot of the focus away. That's the view of some of the activists here. And so they are holding this rally, and a good thing, the Iran conflict seems to have been sorted out. So essentially, the rally is to just maintain the pressure on the U.S. government to sustain its engagement, to sustain its focus in trying to deal with the Nigerian insecurity challenges, especially the fact that many of us believe that quite a bit of genocidal killings are going on still in Benue and Plateau specifically. So the rally is just to say that, look, the work is not done. We still need a lot more U.S. involvement and engagement to help us deal with this situation. Yeah.
And you've been saying this for many years. The concept of our insecurity has been described by you and many other people as a mixed bag of different things happening at the same time. One of them, in your view, being genocidal killings. So maybe we can get you to talk to us about something else. We've been talking about the acquittal of Diazan Madison Madueke. And what that means. In fact, we didn't have enough time with Dr. Ubani. One of the things I wanted to ask him about was the concept of the registration of political parties in itself, but we'll get to that in a bit. Let's talk about your views on this acquittal, and then we can go to the matter of our courts here and how they're preparing themselves for 2027.
All right. I mean, it's a very exciting news about Allison-Madueke. And what I would like to say is that so she should come home and just get this matter sorted. She should come home and go through the EFCC cases against her, for which quite a significant portion of her property have been forfeited. I think the time is now right for her, to come and defend herself in our own country. And let's see where the pendulum goes. Look, the fact that cannot be denied is that while she was minister for petroleum resources, there was this strategic alliance, that was entered into by the NPDC and arm of the NNPC, where oil, worth $3 billion, were lifted without any kind of payments or royalties or taxes, under the scheme that was called Strategic Alliance. And while we were in the villa, we were able to gather enough evidence to indicate that Allison-Madueke, and two other Nigerians were those who were actively involved in those strategic alliance. Were $3 billion worth of Nigeria oil. And this was at a time when oil was selling for over $100, $120, per barrel. So if the UK courts, have not been able to convict her of corruption, related charges about her lifestyle, and stuff. Now and now she feels that okay, she's free. She has been justified, and she didn't do anything wrong. Then I want to encourage her, come home, and defend your name. Let the cases be tried there. Stand and defend your name, and let's see where the pendulum goes. The truth of the matter is that $3 billion of Nigeria's oil were lifted. My dear sisters, $3 billion, and there are no records of any kind of payments, under what was called strategic alliance. So this is a very important situation that it will be a very good thing for her to come home and defend our role in all of this.
I'm just a little curious as to if the Nigerian courts also find her not guilty. Will it be a verdict that the Nigerian people will accept?
Well, so that's the point. I think, based on what she has said, that she didn't do anything wrong after, that decision and ruling by the UK court. I think she should come home now, and we have to accept whatever it is that the court say. My own point is that we can't say that because the UK court hasn't found her guilty of bribery charges, that so-called disappearance of $3 billion of Nigeria's oil money it did not happen. We can't just wish that away, that it did not happen. We know that happened. So I think she now has the opportunity. She has the confidence, to say that, okay, yeah, you guys bring it on. And whatever the courts decide, that is why we say that is the rule of law. We will all have to accept whatever the court decide. What we shouldn't accept is that because she has been discharged and acquitted in this UK court, where she was charged for bribery and corruption, because instead they couldn't find enough evidence, that does not wish away the fact that under her leadership in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, $3 billion of Nigeria's oil were lifted without any kind of payment. She needs to come and explain to us, what happened. And then the courts decide up or down how that should go.
Part of her defense in the UK was that she wasn't final authority when it comes to certain matters, especially in her ministry. Yes, she was the Minister of Defense, but we do know how the Nigerian oil structure or the industry is structured in such a way that even after her, we haven't seen a substantive Minister of Petroleum Matters, yes, since she left office. Usually, the president is the one who is the de facto minister, so to speak. Is it something that we really want to open? Are we really sure that we have the political will to push such a case, given where it could lead at the end of the day?
Well, I think the case is still open. I believe it's in the Federal High Court in Abuja, and the EFCC is the one that is in charge of it. I think that, both ourselves and all of us Nigerians, we deserve some kind of closure, as to what happened with those strategic alliances. I don't think as a people we should just let it go. We are talking about $3 billion, Markwe. I don't think we should let it go without, a proper closure. Now, she's gotten some closure that she wasn't, they couldn't find evidence about bribery and corruption. Okay, and, for her, that's a good thing. Now, she needs to come to Nigeria and sort out this. Look, we have to give credit to, look at somebody like Allison-Madueke. Allison-Madueke, fought his own case, and he was vindicated. Okay? So is that kind of courage that Madueke should also come home to come and deal with it. When we are making those allegations, we're not convicting her, but we are saying that, look, we have evidence that under your watch, this was what happened to Nigeria's oil money. You owe it to yourself, Madam Madueke, and you owe it to Nigerians, to say that this was what happened. You need to come and tell us your own side of the story in the courts, so that all of us as Nigerians, we should have a closure. Nobody...
Mr. Akande, it's interesting you keep saying the Nigerian people, and I'm sure that the Nigerian people will have no problem with her coming to take. I think it's the political elite. Do you think that they have the political will to be able to push for such a case to happen? I think that's the question I was trying to put across to you.
Well, so we will have to see how it goes. I don't want to speak for the political elite because, yeah, you're right. I don't know what they have in mind. I can only speak to what I think ought to happen. Whether there is enough political will to sustain the case. The case is still open in the EFCC, I believe, in the Federal High Court. So I can speak so much whether there is political will to continue the case. You're right about that. I can't really speak to that. But I think, so that Madueke can, really sort herself out, just like Adobe has commendably done. She should come home and defend herself.
And in fairness to him, he's also published 2 books to that effect.
Absolutely. That takes a lot of courage, and the courts have vindicated him. And the man, is standing in his name rightly. Nobody can impeach his integrity once that has happened. Madueke should come home and do the same.
It's a fine place to leave it. Unfortunately, we couldn't touch the judicial matter of political party deregistration. But we do say our congratulations to you and wish you all the very best as you sojourn in the United States. Mr. Laolu Akande joined us. He's the presenter of Channels Television's Inside Sources, which is being commended today in the United States, and also a former presidential aide. Thank you once more.